r/askreddit. Serious, strippers of Reddit. What do you really think of the people that see you perform? Ex-stripper. The guys that came in and knew the deal were great. Tip the girl on stage. Get a lap dance. Be polite. The worst were the guys that thought they were smarter than the strippers or that they could somehow game us. Like, one guy I remember went on a whole rant about how smart he was because he could tell it was all fake and the girls weren't really attracted to the men. Yeah dude, you're a genius. Or when they think they're funny by degrading the women. It's not funny and you're the one that looks bad. Honestly, for the most part I didn't think about the guys much at all. I was on autopilot most of the time and didn't judge them any more than thinking who looks interested in a private dance or who was a douchebag I wanted to avoid. I don't mean to be rude, but genuine question. What would you think if a lesbian booked you for a lap dance? Throwaway for obvious reasons. My $2 is that if someone wants a good time with a stripper, just be really respectful of boundaries and remember that they're working. I'm going through a bit of a rough time personally lately and was at a bachelor party recently. I'm not really a lap dance guy, but one seemed really nice and I've been needing a little closeness, so I threw caution to the wind and threw down a few hundred to spend some time in the VIP room. We chatted a bunch before she got started. I made sure to ask if everything was okay before proceeding to touch anything, and I said that I just wanted to pay ahead of time and enjoy the fantasy of feeling special and wanted. After my time was up we cuddled and talked for maybe another 30 minutes. She was legit very nice and even though I know she was just doing her job, she had a great personality and made me feel special. At the end of the day I think I was just very respectful, helped define and observed our boundaries, and I was clear with what I needed. Some personal intimacy, even if it was just a fantasy. Maybe this all sounds sad and makes me a loser, but I got what I needed out of that visit. Not every customer there is just looking to grab boobs and grind on you. Some are just sad men that need to feel wanted. When I was leaving she grabbed me for a hug before I went and told me her real name and her other job, fitness instructor. She invited me out to take some classes with her, though being clear that she didn't want anything non-platonic, which is fine by me. She was just a person that I met briefly once, but it was an encounter that I needed and it will probably stick with me for a long time. See, I have never understood the whole power trip. The best time I had in a strip club was when one of the dancers stripped to Tenacious D. I was laughing the whole time and she was such a sweetheart during the lap dance. I was on autopilot most of the time I saw this too. The last time I was in a strip club, I felt like if the dancer wasn't having a good time I wasn't having good time, but I understand at the same time. Dudes are fucked. You get your share of creeps, but mostly where I worked, a long time ago, a lot of young groups of guys just looking for a good time. Every once in a while you have someone who has too good of a time and gets rowdy and acts like an idiot. Granted I only work 2-3 nights a week. People who dance full time, especially during the day, have a whole different kind of crowd to deal with. But customers are generally all the same, just looking for something to distract them from life for a while. Feels like a lifetime ago that I danced. My husband and I go together now every once in a while to get a private dance for a while, and it's way more fun being on the other side. I love the young guys who just wanted to have a fun night out and were also respectful. Was lucky enough to come across a few groups like this during my stripper years. After over 40 years as an adult, I've only been to a strip club twice. The first time, I was quite sloshed and grabbed the stripper's boob. Actually only brushed it with my fingertips. She was way more nimble than drunk me. The girl was so sweet when she just laughed and said, "Down boy." The second time I was sober, and apparently watching naked strangers walk around on the bar you're trying to eat lunch on is only fun if you're drunk. Pretty sure there will never be a third time, unless a lot of free pizza is involved. You ever get a guy that was irregular or got attached to you emotionally? How'd it turn out? Generally depends on what kind of customer that person is really. The best kind is the dude who understands that it is all a game. They tip well, they are sociable and polite, may even be regulars with certain girls and are never a problem. The entire club staff loves guys like this. The ones that the dancers hate? The "I don't pay for dances" guy who thinks that line will somehow make him desirable for dancers. The Captain Save a Ho. His trademark line goes something like, "You are too beautiful, smart, amazing to be doing this. If you get with me you can leave this behind. The pimps that go around asking the girls if they want to make some real money are real pieces of shit as well. Then there was the ones that I really had a personal dislike for. The dudes who would try and wait in the parking lot at the end of the night because Cinnamon and I really had a connection, you know. She told me to wait for her. No she didn't, buddy. If Cinnamon told you that, she did so knowing that I would be kicking everybody out of the parking lot before the dancers left for the evening. The strip club industry is a weird place. Source: longtime strip club bouncer. Captain Save-A-Ho. My second favorite superhero behind Floridaman. The strip club near me. The bouncers pick up and drop off the girls in club-owned vehicles. To avoid a Cinnamon type situation. Captain Save-A-Ho. My wife danced during PhD school. These people were the worst. She's incredibly smart and these idiots always thought they could woo her away from the really well-paying job that was enabling her to go to school debt-free. Strip clubs have a way of bringing all of a person's craziness to the surface. I had a friend I thought was a normal dude, but when we went to the strip club he was a fucking weirdo and was convinced the girls were all into him and was possessive over them when he'd never met any of them before. It was the first time I realized he had some major issues, and many years later he was arrested for firing a gun into the air at a strip club. Depends on the person. I've had stalkers follow me home. Creeps who tried to get violent with me at work. People who pissed me off. I've also met some really wonderful people I'm fine with calling my friends. I just had a baby and invited 2 ex-customers to my baby shower in June. Edit. Holy cow, this is my highest rated comment ever. Thanks for all of the well wishes and replies, everyone. You all brightened up my afternoon. Congratulations on your baby. Another ex-dancer, now mommy. 3. That's really sweet. Congrats on the baby. But also, aren't baby showers usually when the mom is still pregnant? Actually NVMIDK man, I'm 15. Edit. Mayo disregard, forgot it was August. Ex-stripper here. Most of them were cool. We had one old guy named Steve that would get dances from the new girls and whip his dick out and jizz in their hair. He always had $300 in his wallet that he would hand over before they made him leave. Occasionally a doucher bag would come in, but they got handled pretty quickly. I once had a guy hold up a $5 bill and ask what he could get for that. I cheerfully snatched it out of his hand and told him that he could watch my ass as I walked away. Wait, hold up. How did Steve not get kicked out? Edit. Haha guys, he has $300. I was referring more so to the fact that strip clubs generally don't appreciate men touching the girls, much less splurging on them. Goddamn, that line's beautiful. Ex-stripper here. Of course I encountered all different types, but I am here to mention one type in particular, my favorite. There were a lot of customers who were lonely, or didn't have anyone to talk to who would really listen to them. They figured out that they could come in and pay for company. I would sit at the table with one of my regulars for a few hours and just talk. I made a point of showing that I valued them as a person and was genuinely interested in their conversation. He knew that he was taking up my time, and every so often would hand me another bill. I didn't pity them. I respected them for figuring out a way to engage with other humans and satisfy their need for connection. This needs more attention. It's wholesome. Sometimes that's all someone wants needs. I am a barber and some of the longer services my club offers I don't do, but some guys book them just so we can sit and talk. People just really want to be listened to now and then. Was male stripper for a bit. My opinion, it's all types for all reasons. Passing judgment on folks generally just makes you less approachable. There are good folks who like gyrating naked people but are awkward socially and have lots of money. Creepy is still creepy. Considerate is still considerate. Only difference is I'm not wearing pants. If a male stripper is at least a 7 on a scale of 1-10, how often could they get laid in a week? I think it depends. I see all of the guys as potential for money. If you're rude to me or if you sit at the bar and don't tip, then I think poorly of you. The only time I went to a strip club was with friends after a casino trip. I didn't have much to start with but lost most of what I brought. So I hung at the bar because I didn't have a choice. It was either bar or stage. And I wasn't about to watch performance and not tip. I've never been to one, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't ever want to. It's definitely something I'll do when I get the money. Edit. Whoa. This post thread certainly blew up. Thank you to everybody that has taken part and commented, especially the ladies and gents that it was aimed at, and thanks for the gold kind stranger. I hope they like what I'm doing and that they spend a lot of money on me and we have a good time. What is a good time for you? Making money? The dancing itself? Seeing guys horny? Ex-male stripper here. Edit. I misunderstood the question and erased what I originally wrote. Excuse me. The customers? It depends. In general, I saw a lot of lonely people. I never felt too bad for them because dancing is a humbling experience. I mean, after all, I'm the one dancing for money. I don't think I ever looked down on them either. Also saw a lot of creepy people. When I first started dancing, other dancers would help me out in situations with the creepier customers. I had an older gentleman who you could say stalked me for a bit. My first interaction with him was holding his hand while I danced and he put money in my G-string. A coworker of mine grabbed my hand and pulled me away. They would also walk me out to my ride because he used to wait outside and proposition me for further activities. I always declined. Creepy people come in all forms. I think the worst ones are the good-looking customers that know they are good-looking and they have a lot of money, so they think they can get away with anything. I've lost some considerable sized tips from telling people like that to fuck off. Edit 2. I'd also have to mention I did the whole thing about an hour away from where I grew up. I always had this funny thought in the back of my head, like, what if my friends and classmates saw me now? Was a fun industry. Glad I'm out. Ah yes, something I can answer in depth. I've danced for 9 years at various clubs from nice to meh. Guys who sit at the bar and mind their own business are generally a pretty good target unless they are regulars who never do jack shit. Regulars who never spend could get hit by a car and I wouldn't help. They are often rude, prey on new girls, and mostly, waste everyone's time. Guys who come in and don't tip, buy dances, or even buy us a drink, and or act like they are too good are also fucking punk ass bitches. People who sit around on their phones are rude as shit. If you sit at the tip rail on your phone, I want to kick your phone out of your hand so bad you don't even know. I'm up here topless, performing for your entertainment. Go to Hooters if you want to play Heroes and Castles on your phone and have a beer FFS. Guys who are painfully nerdy and shy are my favorites. I keep a few polyhedral dice in my purse as a token of solidarity. I can smell that new board game smell across the room, through the stale beer and cotton candy perfume. Good Olay boys are going to be perfect gentlemen when sober, but will likely get drunk and commit the worst acts against you. Blue collar workers are often paid cash daily. That guy covered in paint and concrete will make my day. They just want to cool off with a beer and feel special. Woo girls and fake swingers are annoying AF. Keep your girlfriend out of the club. She's making a fool of herself by trying to crawl on stage, giving you the shittiest lap dance. And these women always do shit like groping us without asking or being really rough because I'm a girl too. Don't fucking touch me. Becky. Women who come in to try to show us up are bottom of the barrel creatures. Go back to your suburbanite nightclub and order your syrup pineapple there, okay? Actually, gay and bi women are a treat. Performing for a woman who is legitimately interested in me is nice because it provides variety. Traveling businessmen are an assorted bunch. They have good paying jobs, are lonely, likely very educated or savvy, and just want companionship. I spend a lot of time with these guys. Weirdos. I mean real weirdos. The guys that still live at home and are spending their parents' money, not because they are rich but because they are so weird off they can't hold down a job. These are the guys that I feel the worst about. Like, PLZ, don't come in here. You're wasting your parents' money and asking me to do oddly specific shit. Have some fucking tact. The gangbangers. Ugh. These guys just suck. They are emotional, temperamental, and a fucking risk all around. The illegal activity guys. These are the guys with the blow, the guys that constantly try to fuck girls, the guys that pull their dicks out on you, the guys that try to get girls in their game. They are pimps. These are the guys that could also get hit by a car and I wouldn't help. Dealers, pimps, rapists, johns, Gtfo. So yeah, I think that's most everyone. Edit. Thanks for the silver and for the gold. You tipped a stripper via Reddit, so you can check that off your fugget list. Edit 2. I also have a few other stripper adventure stories and rants on this account close to the beginning of the account's existence if you need more stripper stories in your life. Guys who are painfully nerdy and shy are my favorites. Lol, that was totally me when I went. My friend brought me when I was 21 and I had exactly zero experience with a girl past kissing. My friend bought me a lap dance and the girl could tell I was super nervous, so she just told me to take a seat, relax, and I'm gonna get you hard as fuck. My hands were glued to my side, so she picked them up and told me I could do just about anything except insertion. She even let me suck her tits, which I didn't even realize was legal. She did in fact get me hard as fuck. I dated a stripper for a while. No, we didn't meet at the club. We were 18 and she looked super young. She liked some of her regulars, but she would often get married guys in there and she absolutely hated them. Not that she wouldn't take their money, because she wanted to just have fun and not worry about ruining people's marriages. She also disliked the people that were old enough to be her dad, because there were a lot of old creepy people who would proceed to show her pictures of their kids who were around her same age. In general though, as long as people tipped well and didn't make things awkward, she seemed to really enjoy most of her clients. Also, never ask your stripper out, she probably doesn't like you. And also don't propose to them because that makes it super awkward. They're just people. No one proposes to cute girls out of the blue. There's no way to handle that situation that ends well. Would often get married guys in there and she absolutely hated them. Would be kind of a ghost town there without them, don't you think? I've dated like 4 strippers, some for a few years. I think their opinions were mostly that the dudes were chill. There were the he tried to shove his finger in my pussy so I broke it nights. The he got a champagne room for 3 hours with 3 girls and fell asleep so we got drunk type nights. Indian dudes seem to do the weirdest shit. A couple dudes just got naked in the lap dance booth or champagne room and got kicked out. One, my girlfriend said she left for less than a minute to check in with the bouncer and returned and the dude was naked and had nicely folded his clothes next to him. Weirdly sweet but horrifying. They threw him out naked. The thing I noticed though is that after a few years most of them really started to low-key hate men. It's just generally they get exposed to men continually at their worst or most horny. I think it ended up being toxic. This seems very true. I've had a handful of friends in college who stripped. One hit the jackpot and ended up a Vegas showgirl, got a degree as a nurse but a 6-figure job as a dancer. The others stuck with stripping for various amounts of time, and the longer they stuck with it the more jaded and cynical they got. It just depends on how they behave. Wanting to have a good time and be around nice, pretty girls and see some titties is perfectly normal to me. What makes me not like them is when they don't understand what I'm there for. Customers who understand that I'm providing a fantasy experience in exchange for money are the best. I don't mind if they want to flirt, talk dirty, or squeeze as long as they stay respectful, playful and are paying me accordingly. Customers who think they can do or say whatever they want to me without tipping or because they threw a couple ones at me are the ones I don't like. And the customers who think just because they're giving me money I no longer have boundaries. If you're not tipping, or only tipping a little, don't try to grab me when I walk by. Don't make nasty comments to me. Don't sit at the stage and stare all night and only tip $1. And even if you are spending money on me, there are things that I am and I'm not okay with you doing, which I will happily explain if you ask before you try it. And don't waste our time. We are there to make money, so if a dancer sits and starts talking to you and you're not planning to get a dance, tell her that. Just give her a couple dollars for the conversation and politely say you're not interested. Don't let us sit there trying to hustle you if you know you're broke. When customers are respectful and having fun, I have fun. When they're gross, rude or broke, I don't. Strippers for bucks parties or strippers in clubs? Strippers at bucks parties don't usually hang around long enough, 20-30 minutes max, so interaction with guys is limited to just during the show. You mainly hear guys in clubs more so want to chat because they are either lonely, like the attention briefly, or become regulars and make friends with the girls. What strippers really think is about the money. At every job you go to there is always the same personalities, they just look different. You have the arrogant guy, The nice guy, the shy guy, the funny insecure guy, the drug addict, the alcoholic, the drunk touchy guy, the guy who thinks is super good looking and you should want him, the narcissist. It's more so about the different roles the stripper can take on when working for all of the above guys. Counselor, best friend, cleaning lady for when he spills his drink, the comedian to make them laugh, security guard for other girls, the dominatrix because they want to be playfully hurt in some way. The list goes on. The more you spend stripping, you more learn about social psychology. A friend I met when I was studying psyche, I ended up changing majors, was actually dancing for just that reason. She said you never see a person more real than when they're in such an emotionally charged setting. She credits stripping for more of her psychology knowledge than classwork. Not personally a stripper, but I had a good friend that was a stripper, and since the club she worked at had a great lunch buffet, I'd go and visit her often. She would hang out at my table between sets and after a while a lot of the others would as well. A lot of the conversations would turn to their opinions of the men that came in. Yow. That really turned me off from going to clubs. They basically thought of the guys as stupid cash machines, and would laugh at the ones they would get to pay their rent, car payments etc. when they wouldn't do anything. That is, they would show them some affection and talk to them outside of the club, but wouldn't have any sexual interactions. The club had a great buffet. Found Ron Swanson. I worked with a guy like that. He was a regular at the club down the street. At Hooters he was a VIP and would sit with the owners during the Super Bowl. With him he was an awkward guy that was just looking for a girl to talk to. At least that's how I saw it. I went out with him a couple times. He was super respectful. I guess if a girl first met him he could be a little creepy appearing. Mostly just cause he was very awkward in social situations and had a stutter. Super nice guy when you spent 5 minutes with him before judging him. He would just blow his paycheck at these places. He wasn't even a big drinker. It was kinda sad to watch at first. After knowing him though, that's how he liked to spend his time and money. I guess he was paying for therapy while looking at boobs, lol. To me it's just another hospitality job. People come for a reason. The people there only have jobs because of a demand for it. Just like at the restaurant I worked at. I hope I'm not stealing the question since I was just a server at a boobs and wings place, which a lot of people, myself included, sort of consider junior level stripping. Same as most of the other answers here in that most everyone was cool, a few jerks here and there. But what struck me was how many older, lonely, divorced, widowed or single guys desperately needed to be around female energy. They were all so sweet, polite, courteous and more often than not generous. If they could afford it, some couldn't, and that was fine too. I always got the impression they came to our place because it was there. We could have been selling ice cream wearing 50s housewife attire and they still would have showed up. It wasn't about the skimpy clothing at all to these guys, just the chance to be around women who knew their name, their job, their story, etc. It always made me very happy we were there, but sad that society seemed so disconnected that we were maybe the only place they felt comfortable going where they wouldn't be judged for what was simply a human need to be around other people of the opposite sex in a non-sexual way. My girlfriend used to be a stripper. From what she's told me, as long as you're respectful and polite they aren't thinking much about you at all. But more likely to be thinking about what they're gonna have for dinner later. Former stripper. I absolutely loved working with guys who were nice and respected my time and boundaries. They truly make the job fun, and I would show my appreciation by making the dance a little wilder. If a guy would try and talk to me forever and not get a dance, I was offended. I always said my conversation was priceless and they should be paying me double just to talk. Or try and get me to see him outside without spending money. If a guy spent a lot on me, I wouldn't mind meeting him for a drink after work to spend some time talking. Or try and grab at me. I would truly look down on him. I had guys who were straight up abusive a few times, and that's not fun. I had guys that were into haggling as a sexual kink, and that was shitty. I hated it when they'd try and get a 2-for-4 discount. Like, dude, I'm a hot chick taking my clothes off between your legs. Please don't insult me by saying $20 is too much for the privilege. My favorite customers were the ones that wanted to have actual fun. One guy ordered us a pizza and taught me karate moves. One guy just wanted to smoke weed and play Mario 3 on a Game Boy. One guy would pay me to tell jokes on stage. I had a guy in a wheelchair just wanted to have some wild chicks show him a good time. They stand out to me all this time later because they made the job fun and joyful. Mostly it was depressing creeps, but there were some real sweethearts in there and I still think of them with affection.